Hello, and again, I want to greet everybody a good evening dyan sa atin sa Pilipinas. And I also wanna greet our viewers. This is the final episode of our Never Settle series, Awakening to the Life That You Truly Deserve. So, as a recap, what we were discussing the past few Sundays of this month is how to get or what how to get the life that you truly deserve. So just a recap, the first we discussed about self perception. So where do I want to be, or am I where I want to be? So there are a couple of questions that we tried to answer. There are a couple of uh, questions that we needed to reflect on, like the truth statements, which are, what is the real reason that I have issues in my relationships? Diba? And what is the real reason why I am not where I want to be in life? Ano yung tunay na dahilan doon? Di ba? And the real reason that I'm not financially stable. What is the real reason I still have that secret habit? Natatandaan nyo ba yon? What is the real reason that I prioritize happiness in my life? Or, what is the real reason why I prioritize others' happiness in my life? Diba? What is the real reason that I'm having a negative response to these questions that I'm answering right now? So, yun yung mga yun yung mga things na tinanong natin dun sa simula. So, we also discussed the psychology of self. How do you see yourself? How's your self-esteem? How's your self-awareness? How's your confidence? What is the concept that you have of yourself? Where do you want to be? Diba? So, that we discussed around September 13th, I think. And then, last week, we discussed about the human givens. What are those needs that we fail to satisfy? Like, um, what are the needs that we fail to have? Like security, di ba? So, na-overlook ba natin yung security na yon? Significance. So, which of those human givens yung hindi natin nakukuha kung bakit wala tayo dun sa dapat nating kapuntahan. So, once we realize that we need change in our life, this is the time that we move up. So, we identify what the problem is, and alam na natin kung saan tayo pupunta. We've identified the desired state. Now, what are the steps na kailangan nating gawin, or what process would we undergo para makamit yung change na yun? And again, change only happens when the desire to change becomes better than the desire to remain the same. Right? So, dun lang nangyayari yun. Some people have a disempowered outlook in life, believing that their happiness and fulfillment are based and determined on external factors. They believe that they'd be happy if they were like size zero, so sobrang skinny, or in a relationship, or if they own their dream car, or they have their dream career, they have this dream house that they're looking for, isang magandang girlfriend, isang poging asawa, di ba? So, ang sinasabi nila is other people, they get empowered by those things, external factors. But sabi ko nga, change should come from within, right? Certain accomplishments can in life can bring sense of fulfillment and pride, and assign happiness as a singular product of achievement. Pero we need to grow, right? Rather than the element of life and growth, um, sometimes we should balance ourselves. If we're living a fulfilled and happy life, if we're getting what we want, if we're getting what we need, and if we're getting what we deserve. And also, you should also have uh like you should also have room for change. So dun sa process natin ng paghahanap ng ginagawa natin para sa ating mga sarili, right? We should also have a room for change. Sabi ko nga, it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be quite rough. It's gonna be tiring at times, but it's always gonna be worth it. There are some privileged people in the world who have everything handed down to them. It's like just a minor, they're just a minority, diba? The majority work towards their goal. They took charge of their lives and made the necessary changes. So, paano sila nakarating doon? What are the stages of change? Yun yung i-discuss natin ngayon. The desire to change is not enough to generate change. Looking at people living the life you want or achieving your goals isn't going to get you any closer to the goals that you like. So, meron kang idea, meron kang idol, meron kang nililook up to, it's not enough to get you there. So, what should we do? We also have this 6-stage cycle of change, sabi ko nga kanina. And I will also give you some questions that you need to answer to yourself kung sa bawat stages na yun. Alright? First is the pre-contemplation stage. It's not actually one of the stages, but it's like the pre-stage, right? So pre-contemplation can be defined as the not ready stage. People at this stage have no intention of making any change. In the foreseeable future, wala pa silang pagtanggap na yun ang mali nila, hindi pa nila alam na dapat na palang baguhin to. In denial pa sila, blinded pa sila ng kanilang mga flaws, and they're really unaware that they need change, right? So other people who are in pre-contemplation are those who are totally blinded by their flaws, still blaming other people, and they may be unaware of their flaws, but however, be conscious on some level that their life or relationships aren't what they'd like them to be. So, minsan, alam natin yan di ba? Parang, teka lang, merong mali, pero hindi ko ito ba dapat baguhin? Hindi ko pa ito dapat baguhin. Pero meron ng mali, di ba? Meron ng mali tayong nakikita. Meron ng mali tayong nararamdaman. Meron ng off. Meron ng ibang mga red flags, di ba? Pero hindi natin sila pinapansin. They also have this sense of unhappiness and unease about their current situation. Parang hindi na ako masaya, parang hindi na ako nag-grow, di ba? So this stage is when they start dissecting themselves to find out what's wrong. Ano kayang mali sa akin? To determine whether the issue is internal or external. Ako ba to? O ibang tao? Is it just me or is it another person? Diba? This will lead them to look at themselves a bit closer, completely in different angles, magkahanap na siya ng mga perspectives. They may call into question the part that they played in the relationships, workplaces. Ano ba yung mali sa akin? What is the role that I'm playing in the current situation of my life right now? Maraming mga tao na hindi dumadaan dito kasi nga inuuna natin yung denial, di ba? But if ever that you feel that there's something wrong in the current situation of your life right now, okay, is gawin natin na ganito yung tanong sa sarili natin. What role did I play in the current situation of my life right now? Looking back at the behavior or looking back dun sa role na plinay ko, how can I make it different? Di ba? Bakit ko dapat baguhin to? Ano ba yung dapat kong baguhin? Masyado ba akong mabait? Masyado ba akong maaga? Masyado ba akong mapagbigay? Masyado ba akong mahigpit? Masyado ba akong controlling? Um, masyado ba akong OC? Masyado ba akong makasarili? Masyado ba akong naging madamot? Masyado ba akong ah, naging hindi mapagparaya? Ano yung role na plinay mo dun sa current situation ng buhay mo ngayon? Sa current situation ng relationships ninyo? Sa current situation ng trabaho mo? Sa current situation ng financial uh, status mo? Diba? So, next question is, do you think that you've ever held yourself back in life or gotten in your way? So, meron ka bang mga bagay na hindi nagawa na pinigil mo yung sarili mong gawin kaya ka nandyan ngayon? Meron ka bang babae na hindi pinarsu? Meron ka bang lalaki na hindi sinagot kahit gustong-gusto mo na? Meron ka bang trabaho na tinanggihan na sana naging maganda yung balik sa'yo? Meron ka bang mga bagay na ginawa na you took into like at a cost of another thing, 'di ba? Yun yung mga opportunity cost 'di ba? Sabi ko nga sa inyo, if we decide to do one thing, we decide to not do another thing. So it's always the opportunity cost. Is there anything about yourself that you'd like to change? And if so, ano yun? Ano yung mga bagay na gusto mong baguhin sa sarili mo? 'Di ba? So that is the pre-contemplation stage. So, papasok tayo ngayon doon sa contemplation stage. This is the stage when you are ready to make some change. Some change, right? But there's still evaluating and continuously assessing and criticizing the pros and cons of that change. So, ganito mangyayari kapag binago ko yung sarili ko, magiging masaya yung partner ko, pero magdudusa ako. So, ganun yun lagi, di ba? Opportunity cost. So, yeah, opportunity cost. You have to decide whether it's the pro or the cons, kung ano yung mga mangyayari. The ambivalence and uncertainty causes to petrify people. Nakakatakot to di ba? Nakakatakot sila. And the moment that they decide to change, sometimes it's too late. Pag na-stuck sila dun sa contemplation, gusto ko to, ayoko to, pero kailangan kong gawin. So, para kang nagchat-chat. It's either you don't know what you wanna do, or you don't wanna do it, that you know it's the right thing. So, atras, abante. Di ba? We could help you have a clearer vision of what your possibilities are. You could just like send me a message, Coach Boy, I'm really torn right now. Hindi ko talaga alam ang gagawin ko kasi alam ko na ito ang dapat gawin pero natatakot ako. Then let's be scared together. 'Di ba? Alamin natin kung ano yung mga steps na dapat mong gawin. Alamin natin kung ano yung mga bagay na dapat mong pagdaanan, di ba? Ako kasi minsan I do the worst case scenario, di ba? Pagka sinabi ko, oh tara, worst case scenario tayo. Gustong-gusto na yun ng mga clients ko. Bakit? Kasi pag nagbibigay ako sa kanila ng situation, talagang worst case scenario. And it probably wouldn't happen. Tandaan natin that those things and thoughts that comes into our minds are just thoughts. They're just thoughts. And if you let them affect you, thoughts will be your feelings will turn into actions, and eventually that will you become. Alright? So yun. We should always learn to police our thoughts. We should always learn to face our fears. We should always... Minsan hindi nyo maiiwasan matakot. Even me. Minsan palagi akong takot. Minsan palagi, no? Minsan may mga oras na natatakot din ako to take a relationship into a next level. Bakit? So, of course, I have to guard myself, di ba? So, what is true for me is also true for you. Lahat ng tao natatakot to take that relationship on a certain level. Maski sa trabaho pa yan. Maski sa mga kaibigan pa yan. Minsan hindi naman takot tayong mag-disclose. Why? Why? Bakit tayo natatakot mag-disclose? Kasi takot tayong masaktan, takot tayong ma-attach, takot tayong maiwan. 'Di ba? But all you have to do is to just have a little faith. You just have to have a little faith. Ano ba yung mali? Ano ba yung sobra kong ginagawa? Just have to have a little faith. 'Di ba? In your pre-contemplation stage, you should always explore the possibilities kung ano yung dapat nyong baguhin sa sarili ninyo. Huwag kayong matakot. Huwag kayong matakot magbago. Kasi, your desire to change should be better than the desire to remain the same. Change is always for good. Nakakatakot siya minsan. Nakakatakot mag-let go. Nakakatakot na na-caught off guard, di ba? Pero, it will always be worth it. So, some of the questions you might consider answering yourself dun sa contemplation stage is, like, can you identify any steps you need to take to achieve your goal? May it be sa relationship, may it be sa workplace, may it be sa mga ginagawa natin, sa mga kaibigan natin, di ba? Even on practical level, is there something that you could do today? Is there something that you could do today, not tomorrow, but today, right? That would get you closer to that goal, di ba? So, next, why do you want to achieve the certain goal? Why do you want to achieve harmony in your relationship? Why do you want to achieve this kind of goal? Why do you want to achieve this position sa trabaho mo? Why do you want to achieve magna cum laude sa school, valedictorian sa school? Why? You always have to know that purpose. Diba? And what does it mean to you to have a good and meaningful relationship at your house? How does it mean to you? Does it mean the world to you? Diba? I see that what inspired you to follow the path? What inspired you to change? What inspired you to be better? What inspired you to want more? What inspired you? Bakit? What made you decide that what made you think that your desire to change is better than the desire to remain the same? Paano nangyari yun? You have to have a purpose. You have to have meaning to that change. Otherwise, wala kayong goal. Diba? So, next is, like, what's your biggest concern about what will happen kung magbabago ka? Ano yung mga pwedeng mangyari kapag magbago ka? Totally ka bang magbabagong tao? Meron ka bang maapektuhan? Meron bang magagalit? Meron bang mga tao na magbabash sa'yo kapag ka nakitang nagbago ka? Diba? Tandaan niyo, change is an internal experience. Yeah. Hindi kayo mababago ng nasa paligid ninyo. Change would come from within. Change would come from inside. Kung yung desire mo na yon, na gusto mong magbago, gusto mong maging mabuting tao, mabuting anak, mabuting asawa, mabuting boyfriend, mabuting empleyado, mabuting boss, diba? Mabuting Pilipino, Amerikano, mabuting tao, it should come from within. Walang makakapilit sa inyo na magbago. Walang makakapagsabi sa inyo, magbago ka na, ayan na yan, kasi ikaw, ganyan. No. You will change when your desire to change becomes better than the desire to remain the same. Yun lang yun. Next is, so meron ka ng contemplation. Tama na ba yun? Tama na ba yun? Alam mo na yung mga gusto mong baguhin. Alam mo na kung ano yung gusto mong marating. Alam mo na kung saan mo gustong pumunta. Alam mo na kung sino yung gusto mong makasama. Anong kulang? Di ba madalas sinasabi natin, sana po magbago na siya. Sana po hindi pa rin siya nagbabago. Bakit hindi pa rin siya nagbabago? Alam niya na kailangan niyang magbago. Bakit? Kasi hindi pa siya nagdidesisyon. 'Di ba? So, the second stage after the contemplation stage is always gonna be the decision change or the decision to change. Yung decision, you have to decide. You have to decide. 'Di ba? Kung ano yung mga bagay na yun. You always have to decide to make that step. There's always a first step in making change. You always have to you always have to make that decision. Kasi minsan nandun na tayo sa dulo, magbabago na tayo, gusto na natin magbago. Alam na natin lahat ng mga step na dapat natin gawin. Nag-set na tayo ng timeline kung anong dapat natin gawin. Pero natatakot tayo. Why? Because sometimes if you change, there's no coming back. Sometimes, nagkakaroon tayo ng low frustration tolerance na parang, magbabago ka na, pero ang hirap, babalik ako. Di ba? In many cases, anxiety stems from a decision that hasn't been made. And there's so much things that we could do until you make that decision. Di ba? Sometimes people find more comfort in staying in the chaos of their uncertainty rather than solidifying their thoughts on one idea and following through with it. Okay? So, sometimes ang nangyayari is natatakot talaga tayo. 'Di ba? Merong what's pushing you to do the change and what's pulling you. Palaging merong what's pulling you. Yun yung tinatawag natin that the rubber band effect. 'Di ba? Paraging meron yan. What's gonna be pulling you? At this stage, what we wanna do is for us to help you to be exceptionally clear about what it is you'd like to be different in your life, and ano yung mga steps na gagawin ninyo in doing that change. Again, we will walk you through. Diba? Ano yung mga bagay na dapat mong gawin? Have you set like an overall game plan for yourself? Broken it down to realistic goals? At ano-ano yun? Di ba? So, if we're planning, lahat kailangan ng planning. And smart planning, it has to be specific. It has to be measurable. It has to be attainable. It has to be time-bound. It has to be realistic. Di ba? Sorry, nabubulol ako. Pero, yun, di ba? So, you have to break it down to realistic goals. Kung gusto mo talagang magbago, ano yung mga step na yun? Iplanuhin mo. Why? Kasi, change is not like a straight line. Change has curves, ups, downs. Minsan, babalik pa tayo, di ba? It could sometimes be very, very frustrating. It could be very frustrating. So, minsan, mga tao, low frustration tolerance, kaysa magbago ako, dito na lang ako. Kaysa doon ako sa hindi naman sigurado, dito na lang ako sa safe ako. Di ba? Safety and security, yun lagi ang inuuna natin. Di ba? Ngayon na nagdesisyon ka na, how do you feel about yourself now that you've made a decision? Para bang nagsisisi ka na nagdesisyon ka na magbago? Para bang gusto mo ulit evaluate yung sarili mo kung yung tama yung ginawa mo na desisyon para magbago? Diba? Again, I'm not only talking about the workplace, I'm not talking about the relationship itself, but the totality of it. Sa bawat aspeto ng buhay natin, meron tayong gustong baguhin. Sa bawat aspeto ng buhay natin, there's always this one thing that we wanna change on every aspect. Right? So, what preparation have you undergone or will you undertake? Paano ka magpe-prepare to make this change? Diba? So again, it's how you experience life, on how we prepare dun sa pagbabago na yon. Again, there are different ways on how a person can experience life itself. Physically, diba? Sometimes if you wanna do a physical change, it's strenuous to your body, something like that, diba? You experience it emotionally, mentally, volitionally, minsan at the core we experience it as well. 'Di ba? Meron tayong spiritual stress. Okay? So, yun ang nangyayari sa buhay natin. We sometimes cannot identify how we experience it kasi minsan sabay-sabay. Nagkakaroon ka ng physical change, nagkakaroon ka ng emotional distress, mental distress, nawawalan ka ng pag-asa, di ba? So, how will you prepare for that change? How will you prepare yourself to make that first step? Okay? Again, if you are watching on replay, please comment #replay, right? And this videos will be available in YouTube as well. As we are discussing the 6th cycle of change, dun tayo dumako sa active change as well. Dagdag ko nga pala, dagdag din sa question sa decision ninyo, you always have to do the pros and cons, di ba? So, magkakaroon ka, what are the possible obstacles that you identified? Ano yung mga posibleng mga bagay na mangyayari, di ba? And how do you plan on overcoming those obstacles? So, it's better to be prepared for those obstacles para hindi tayo na-atake ng patalikod. So, you always have to be like 2-3 steps ahead dun sa mga obstacles na yun. Dapat prepared tayo. And also, while you are undergoing change or while you're making that decision to change, you always have to establish your support system. So, have you identified any available social support you have to help you ensure lasting change? If so, who they are or who are they? Diba? So, sino yung mga support system mo? This is very, very important. Lalo na yung mga nag-undergo ng addiction, alcoholism, diba? Yung mga nagbabago, yung mga nagre-recover from certain illnesses, diba? Bakit importante yung support system? Because change is a holistic thing, diba? Yes, it may begin internally, but you also need external factors. You need your family to understand. You need your family to support you. You need a support group to remind you always of what you can and what you cannot do. You have to be grounded on the things that you can change and cannot change. So you need a support group. Diba? You need a sponsor, you need a partner. And if ever you also need a support group nga pala, I established a support group last 2016. You could search them out at Facebook. That's the One Life group. And you could also join the actual group, which the group link I'll post down below, right? Everybody is welcome to join. That is a support group for everybody, not just addicts, alcoholics, those who's undergoing some changes in their lives. We can help you out as well. And I also have a team of very, very good, very, very good and competent coaches that could help you out. So again, that is One Life group. Please join the group. Walang bayad to. Just join them. We have live videos and lectures there as well, exclusive videos and lectures. Please join us, right? So yun, once you make that decision to change and you take the first step, all right? Minsan, kailangan natin ng active change. So, ito na yung proseso. Nag-change ka na. Ginagawa mo na yung mga bagay. Yung mga step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 sa buhay mo. 'Di ba? So, ang nangyayari is, we always have to assess ourselves while we are undergoing that change. Commitment to change is vital. And you can face many challenges which will test your willpower, your consistency, di ba? We always want to help you stay in track, di ba? Minsan kasi yun nga sinabi ko, low frustration tolerance, di ba? So, anong mangyayari? You also have to ask yourself, what have you learned about yourself since we're taking action? Comfortable ka ba? Or yung dati bang kinakatakutan mo, wala na ba yung takot mo? Yung dati ba na ginagawa mo, wala na ba yung akala mo, 'di ba? Akala ko dati mahirap mag-diet. Akala ko dati magiging mainitin ang ulo ko pag hindi ako kumain ng kanin, 'di ba? So madalas tayo gano'n, "Ay, ayoko mag-diet kasi ano, magiging mainitin yung ulo ko kapagka hindi ako kumain ng kanin." Pero triny mo na, one day at a time, one step at a time, 'di ba? One step at a time. Nasasanay ka na. Ano ngayon yung pakiramdam mo sa sarili mo habang na-achieve mo yung bawat step na yun? Maganda ba yung pakiramdam mo sa sarili mo? Have you proved yourself wrong na kaya mo pala samantalang dati sinasabi mo hindi mo kaya? 'Di ba? So, what do you think have you learned? Have you learned that changed you? 'Di ba? Sa buhay mo. Ano yung mga natutunan mo about yourself, about life, about other people? 'Di ba? Ano yung mga natutunan mo? Have you come across any obstacles na na na-foresee mo dati? Or meron ka bang mga obstacles na hindi mo na-foresee dati na na-encounter mo? And how did you deal with them? 'Di ba? Ano 'yon? Habang nasa active change ka, ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, this is the desired stage. And then this is the present stage and this is the desired stage. There's that transition period. 'Di ba? So, yung season of transition na yon, that's where everything happens. Lahat ng stress, lahat ng comment, lahat ng bashing, lahat ng push and pull, nangyayari dyan. Lahat ng mahirap nangyayari dyan. 'Di ba? So, habang nalalagpasan mo yung mga obstacles, are you proud about persevering? 'Di ba? Proud ka ba sa sarili mo habang, yun ba yung nararamdaman mo sa sarili mo habang nalalagpasan mo yung mga obstacles na yun? Have you gained new insights about life since making that change? Meron ka bang natutunang bago? Again, palagi tayong dapat may matutunan, mga kababayan, sa ating sarili. Bakit? Because if we learn, we grow. And if we stop learning, we stop growing. And if we stop growing, we start decaying. All right? So we don't want to decay. No one wants to decay where we're still alive and kicking, right? So, yun, we always have to grow. Ano yung natutunan mo? Diba? Has anyone in your life noticed the changes that you've made? Diba? At ano yung mga sinasabi nila about you? Kasi kapag kami nakakapansin na nung pagbabago mo, tawa sa pagda-diet, oh, ang ganda na ng katawan mo ngayon. Lalo ka pang namomotivate, lalo ka pang nai-encourage na ituloy, 'di ba? So meron na bang mga tao na sa sarili mo na nakakapansin na nagbago ka? Parang hindi ka na masyadong umiinom ngayon or parang hindi ka na umiinom ngayon, 'di ba? Parang ang ganda na ng kutis mo. Parang hindi ka na masyadong galit ngayon. Parang palagi ka nang nakangiti ngayon. Anong nagbabago? Napapansin ba ng mga tao yung nagbabago sa'yo? Napapansin ba ng mga tao yung mga bagay na hindi mo ginagawa dati, ginagawa mo na ngayon? Dati, hindi ka naglilinis ng kwarto, ngayon naglilinis ka na ng kwarto. Bakit? And good job. 'Di ba? Minsan may kasama pa yung ganun. Ang galing, good job, ganyan, 'di ba? May praises pa. So, napapansin ba ng mga tao yon? 'Di ba? Because once other people starts noticing, that is when the internal change becomes an external experience for everybody. 'Di ba? So, have you noticed any positive repercussions in making this change? Ano yung mga positive na napansin mo sa sarili mo? Do you feel like you've changed as a person? 'Di ba? Since making this change, and in what way do you feel that you've changed? So, ayun yung mga bagay na tanungin natin sa sarili natin. But of course, once you are undergoing change, you should also maintain it. During the maintenance stage, right, the healthier patterns of behavior and thinking have started to become more natural sa atin. So, yun nga. Sabi nila, it takes 90 days, I think, to develop a habit. Di ba? So, if you're continuously doing that and it develops into a habit, 'di ba? It becomes more natural to you. So we should always, during the maintenance stage, we should always focus on the feedback that we're getting. And what we are learning about the steps that we're taking about doon sa change na yon. And just because you've begun changing, it doesn't mean that we're changing to the roots. Diba? It doesn't mean that way. But we are getting there. Okay? So, meron tayong mga questions to support this maintenance stage. Kagaya ng, what have you come to realize that you're capable of from this experience? Have you surprised yourself in any way? Ano ba yung mga kaya mo palang gawin na, uy, kaya ko palang gawin to, uy, hindi ko pala kayang gawin to. Diba? What have you struggled with the most during the process? And how have you dealt with it? Saan kayo talagang nahirapan dun sa proseso ng change? Diba? Saan kayo most likely na disheart dun sa proseso ng change? What have you learned about yourself since you're taking action? Nagustuhan mo ba yung mga bagay na natutunan mo tungkol doon sa sarili mo? Di ba? How do you think, what have you learned dun sa mga natutunan mo sa sarili mo, what it changed? Ano yung nabago nito sa sarili mo? Di ba? And has anyone in your life noticed the change that you made? Kagaya ng mga dati mong tanong dun sa active change, ganun din dun sa maintenance change. We always have to be consistent. We always have to check ourselves from the neck up. Diba? Yan. Sabi nila, relapse is a part of recovery. Okay? So relapse is inevitable, particularly if the change is extremely stressful or distressing in some way. Many people resort to their destructive ways as a defense mechanism, as those are more comfortable and familiar to them. All right? Now, my role here is to comfort you and remind you that not to be too hard on you. Ganon din tayo sa mga kausap natin na feeling natin nagre-relapse, babalik sa dati. Like, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't push too much. Alright? So, I always want to tell you guys that you just have to take it easily, one step at a time. One step at a time. Alright? And next cycle is the intervention. When relapse occurred, again, there's gonna be like this intervention na mangyayari. Ano bang nangyayari? Ano bang what triggered for you to relapse? And we're always here to give you empathy and unconditional positive regard and congruence sa inyo. Don't worry, because change is not an easy process. I never said it was easy anyway. Right? It doesn't mean that if you relapse, it's like kabawasan sa inyo yun. No. Hindi kabawasan ng pagkatao na yun. All you have to do is to admit that yes, bumabalik ako dun sa dati kong ugali. Yes, bumabalik ako dun sa dati kong nararamdaman. Yes, bumabalik ako dun sa dati kong ginagawa. But I want to continue my change. Tutuloy-tuloy lang ako. Maraming yung tumatawag sa akin eh. Hoy, nag-relapse ako, bakit ganito yung nangyayari, wala ba talaga akong kwenta, am I not capable of changing, am I not capable of doing good, am I not capable of being a good person? No. You just relapse. You were just comfortable with that. You were just triggered. You are a person who's changing every day, and you're a person who isn't in denial anymore, and I will help you. Diba? So, ang gagawin natin is we always need to have that will to change, that desire to change. It should be better than the desire to remain the same, to get into your ideal state. Once you get your ideal state going, or once you're there in your ideal state, you will start getting the things that you deserve because you worked for them. So that is the 6-stage cycle of change. Tatanungin ko sa inyo, it may be like really, really hard, it may be really, really difficult and stressful to change sometimes, but it will always be worth it. This lecture is based upon the ecology teaching, the 6-stage cycle of change. All right. If you want to discuss more about this, please do send me a private message and I'll help you through. Okay? Kung meron kayong mga kaibigan, kamag-anak na gustong tulungan, just send me a private message or you can send, you can add me on Facebook. All right? And send me a private message para matulungan namin kayo. This is for free, walang bayad, and you could always approach. Someone is here to help you out. Again, if you are watching on replay, please comment #replay, right? This would be available in YouTube as well. And this concludes our Never Settle series, all right? Awakening to the life that you truly deserve. And masasabi ko lang sa inyo, you will get the life that you truly deserve if you work for it. And it always works when you work it. I'll see you again next week for the launching of a new initiative dito sa ating page, Poy De Lara page, and the One Life group page as well. I'll see you all next week. Have a good night.